Thank you. Good evening, everyone. To MISNY leadership, past and present, to County Medical Society leadership, past and present, neighboring county medical society leadership, past and present, invited guests, colleagues, friends, and family. On behalf of the Medical Society of the County of Queens, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us this evening at this wonderful space, the Bayside Historical Society, in celebration of Doctors' Day and honoring our own Dr. Art Fougner. My name is Dr. Charles Lopresto. For those who have not had the pleasure to meet yet, I'm happy to introduce myself as the president of the Medical Society of the County of Queens and your host for this evening. I'm a practicing internal medicine hospitalist at New York Presbyterian Queens and proud third-generation Queens resident. For those unfamiliar, the Medical Society of the County of Queens is the first and largest membership-based medical organization in Queens County. Founded in 1806, we are in our 218th year of serving the Queens community and represent over 1,400 physicians' voices throughout our county. We are an active advocacy organization, meeting with legislators regularly to ensure the practice of medicine in Queens County is the best it can be for physicians and patients alike. Now, tonight, we gather to celebrate Doctors' Day. While Doctors' Day is nationally recognized on March 30th, we're happy to celebrate it a bit earlier here in Queens as part of our record of being a little bit ahead of the curve on important topics. The first Doctors' Day celebration dates back to 1933 as a local celebration in the state of Georgia, but has grown to be a nationally recognized event and a celebration by many groups throughout the United States. In this 91st year of celebrating Doctors' Day, we celebrate and honor all of our physicians that choose to serve our community in Queens County, and there's quite a few of them. According to the New York State Education Department Office of the Professions, as of January 1st, 2024, there are 5,467 active licenses to practice medicine in Queens County, which equates to 15% of the physician workforce throughout New York State. I am proud to report that 1 in 7 physicians in New York State choose to practice medicine in Queens, New York City. Now, some might consider Queens to be in the shadow of Manhattan or other parts of our great city. But Queens physicians believe in and help create the reality of how our borough president refers to our borough, that Queens is the future. Queens physicians work tirelessly to ensure we have a healthier population than New York City's average. According to data from the New York State Department of Health, Queens physicians, at the head of our physician-led, team-based care models, provide better care compared to New York City at large. Thanks to Queens physicians, our patients have less incidence and related mortality to the following major diseases and conditions compared to the rest of New York City: heart disease, stroke, diabetes, all major cancers, and lung disease, including asthma. We are able to accomplish all of that, all while delivering care under some of the most challenging circumstances. Only in Queens, where diversity is our strength, can the diversity of the physician workforce match the diversity of our population, where care is delivered in over 140 languages with the best quality and the level of compassion and emphasis on community that only exists in the world's borough. As we celebrate our accomplishments, I look forward to a future of growth in Queens to make our population even healthier, and for physicians to remain on the forefront of providing award-winning advances in the science and practice of medicine, and to set the example for the rest of the city, state, country, and the world of how to deliver world-class healthcare to the world's population, as only Queens physicians can do. I would like to conclude by asking all of our physicians in attendance tonight who practice medicine in Queens County to please stand or identify yourself, please, and be recognized as the pillars of our community that you are. So to our Queens physicians, please be recognized. Join me in thanking the physicians of Queens County with a round of applause for Doctors' Day. At this point in our program, I'd like to turn our attention to several guest speakers who have honored us with their presence this evening to share their thoughts on Doctors' Day and on some words and celebrations of our honoree, Dr. Fougner. It's my honor to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Paul A. Pipia. Dr. Pipia is the current president of the Medical Society of the State of New York, as well as the chair of the Department of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation at Nassau University Medical Center. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in General Science, as well as a Master's in Science and Chemistry from Fordham University, go Rams, and received his Doctor of Medicine in the state of New York at New York Downstate Medical Center. His internship was at Department of Medicine, Staten Island University Hospital. His residency in Department of Physical Medicine and Rehab. And Dr. Pipia was chief resident at Bellevue, Manhattan Veterans Administration, Russ Institute, first floor. In conjunction with his extraordinary contributions to the medical profession, Dr. Pipia also volunteers his time as a board member for Sea Legs, a program that provides sailing experience for the disabled and has been an advocate for the Muscular Dystrophy Association since 1980. Please join me in welcoming the President of the Medical Society of New York, Dr. Paul Pipia.
Okay. How many other speakers do you have? Yes, I did. I went to Archbishop Malloy High School in Queens. Okay, so there's a lot to tell you. There's a lot we did this year. Let me start out with some stuff that'll help the society make money. And if it does make some money, then we can give some of the money back to the individual counties. As you know, there's so many different fee structures and dues, and some people get like almost no dues, and some people pay a lot of money for dues. I'm a full paying member, so I just wanted to let you know that, so that I'm not taking advantage of any discounts. So what we did do, and we announced it in January, on January I think 29th, was we struck a deal with Milmic. We have a purchasing group. If you can qualify, and qualifying is pretty easy, 95% of the people who qualify, you can get 10% discount off of your malpractice insurance. Now, there's a lot of people that are employed, so it doesn't help them because it's already covered, but the average physician pays $36,000 a year in malpractice. So 10% is $3,600. You could pay the MISNY dues at maybe around $900 tops and still walk away with some money. So I have to say that that's like a very, very good deal. The other thing that we did is we had somebody named Heather Lopez. She's still there. She was figuring out for physicians when they were getting denied, and she was collecting money. In 1 year's time, she collected about $8 million. So, and for those members, we did it for free. So now we decided that what we're going to do is we're going to open it up as a business, and she's going to charge 5% for members, 20% for non-members. So if she pulls in $1 million, that's money to us to do that. If we make any money, we're going to be able to discount the dues. So those things are important. Now, what do we do on the legislative front? All right, so on the legislative front, we did the following. We got the bill for Grieving Families Act vetoed for a second time. Truthfully, I didn't think we were going to get it done the first time, but Parag did it. And so when Parag did that, I had to try to refollow it, and I thought it was going to be even harder. So just to give you a perspective, all right, there were 150 people in the Assembly. There's 63 people in the Senate. The first time when Parag got the bill vetoed, there was only 8 people in both houses that voted no. Now, the second time, so we did a lot of work. We tried to get people. The second time, we were only able to get 20 people to vote no. It's very, very hard for your senator or assemblyman to vote against the Grieving Families Act. And it was really put into practice because somebody drove the wrong way on a parkway and killed people. What does that have to do with doctors? Absolutely nothing. In fact, there were doctors who probably went there to try and help save these people. But doctors have a lot of money in malpractice, and so therefore, we remained in there. This will also hurt municipalities, towns. They were all going to get, if somebody trips on the sidewalk, that's going to be a problem. So we had a lot of partners that helped us. Milmic helped us. The AMA gave us a grant last year. They repeated the grant this year. We got $50,000 from the AMA, but that was on scope of practice, and I'll talk about that in a second. So the governor vetoed it again, and in her comments, if you read her comments and you read what we put out, it was almost exactly the same. So what she did was she did what we asked her to do. Now, let me tell you how I was able to participate this year. On December 9th, there was a meeting in NYU in the city, right? There was only 20 people who went. We took money from our PAC. We went there. There was only 20 people that were there, and I got a chance to talk to the governor. And less than 2 weeks later, she vetoed the bill. But she was already in that thing, so I can't say that that's what caused it. But if you're not a member of the PAC, you need to be, because everybody else, the lawyers have a big PAC. Our PAC used to be a couple of $1 million 20 years ago, and now we're lucky if we have $300,000 in PAC money. So it's really important to do it, and it helps us get where we need to go. Just on legislative stuff, New York is now a fully Democratic state. The governor's a Democrat, the Senate is Democrat, the Assembly is Democrat, the Comptroller is Democrat, the Attorney General is Democrat, and that's not bad. But in the past, when the Republicans held one branch, it was always good because they could block it, right? And then the Democrats could blame the Republicans could blame the Democrats, and that's what they always said. They had three men in a room: the governor, the Senate chief, and the Assembly chief. So now the governor has to run scared the other way, because the Assembly and the Senate have veto-proof majorities, so if she vetoes it, they can override the governor. So we've done very well with that. All right, so now let's talk about scope of practice. The scope of practice is a tough issue, and maybe we did a little bit of that to ourselves. A lot of doctors have physician's assistants in their practice. They're a valued member of our team, and I say that all the time. But now a group of them want to practice independently. So they want to be able to do what you do, and they only went to school for a couple of years. And the governor wants to let them have that if they do 8,000 hours of practice. So 8,000 hours, you figure there's 2,000 working hours in a year. In 4 years, they could be a doctor like you are, at least for like internal medicine and some of the other fields. It's very problematic for us because PAs don't know what they don't know, okay? And doctors can make mistakes, but they make more mistakes. And there's a lot of studies out there that show that. I can use my family as an example. My cousin had his bloods drawn. His parathyroid hormone level was slightly elevated, and the PA said he had to go immediately and get a biopsy of his parathyroid gland. No good, right? So I sent him to a specialist in the field. They adjusted his medication and everything came down. That's kind of the run-of-the-mill stuff. And then they also send for a lot of consults, right? And then if they make a mistake, and I'm going to tell you one where they made a mistake, you lost precious time to try and help the patient. So Scott Glassberg is a doctor in Manhattan. He went to the legislative meeting, and he went and he saw Amy Paulin, who's now in charge of the health committee for the Assembly. And she said, the PAs told us that they haven't had any problems in 3 years. So as Glassberg said to me, he says, I just came from a Shiva call. He said the person that was there was seen the day before he died at Mount Sinai in the city, and was seen by a PA. They had a chest x-ray. They diagnosed the person with bronchitis, and the person went home on antibiotics. The next day, the person came back to the hospital and died from a pulmonary embolism. So could a doctor have missed that? The answer is yes. Maybe less likely. Maybe they would have done some other tests. They would have seen some other stuff. And so when Paulin said that, she said, we need to hear more stories like this. Now, the problem is, when you work in a hospital, all of those things are protected by their corporate lawyers, right? You could probably just dig up as many cases as you want against physicians as well. But it's important to do that. So the AMA gave us a $50,000 grant. We've been running radio ads to the city, and we came up with our website because it just said, call your legislator, and I told the staff I didn't want to do that. So we came up with two websites. The site's essentially the same, but one is abbreviated because I figured, people won't do it. So it's mynewyorkdoctor.org. Right? So if you go there, then you can write, then it tells you the assembly number, It tells you the Senate number. It gives people a chance if they want to donate any money to the PAC. It gives you a letter that's all formed out. You can just fill it in and push the button and send it. We did that because you really need to go to the consumers. You really need to go to the people that you treat. And, you know, and the PAs always do this because they say, well, the doctor never looks at my charts, you know. And you don't let them get away with stuff that they can't really do if you have them in your practice. So the tough part for us in the society is we can't go all negative against the PAs because a number of our constituents, a number of our doctors have PAs, and they are a valued member of the team. But like when you want to start going out and being a doctor, so in my testimony, I gave testimony last year, and this year I gave it to Jerome Cohen. I said nothing stops these people from going to medical school and becoming a doctor, and the answer was it's going to take us 10 years. And my answer back, and they don't let you talk, is, what do you think it took me? Right? So what did it take all of you? It took you that time to do it. So now people want to be doctors without going to medical school, right? And they say, well, the nurses got to do it, and they're trying to get it down to 4,000 hours. I calculated my residency, I was in for 16,000 hours, and maybe you had more, you know, on your own. But to me, that's a very, very tough place to be at, okay? You know, a long time ago, we used to have the second $1 million layer of coverage because they didn't want to do any tort reform, right? So you used to have to cover 1 million, 3 million in your policy, and then they would pay the other million. And then it changed, and it went to you have to cover 1.3 million, 3.9 million. So now they're only giving you, even though they call it the second $1 million layer, $700,000 worth of coverage. And so this year, what's the next step to do that? They want you to pay for half of the $700,000. So now they're only going to give you $350,000. So we're protesting against that. And in the Senate and the Assembly, they have what they call a one-house bill. They've taken that out. Okay, now, here's the worst thing, and I don't know that anybody doesn't know how this works, is there's a thing called Committee for Physicians' Help. So if you were drunk or you had drugs or you did stuff like that or you needed somebody to help you out, you could surrender your license, go into this program, and then when you completed the program, you could get your license back. That cost $990,000 a year. Now, when they started to fund this, you know who funded it? You did. They took an extra $30 on your registration fee, and that's how they funded it. So the government said, well, we'll just take that back. Now, both the Assembly, like, you know, the budget is going to be over $100 billion. So what's $1 million among friends? Not that much, you know, but these are the things you have to fight. And, you know, sometimes they put things in distractors that they never want to do, but you have to run around and try to protect against it, right? So my analogy is they always come up with a bill like, we're going to tax the air that you breathe. And then, you know, everybody goes, how are they going to tax the air that I breathe, right? And now you're busy worrying about that, and then they pass 5 other bills that you didn't focus on. I wanted to make sure I got all that stuff out there because I wanted you to know what we were doing, okay? So now, we had legislative day. We were going up on Sunday to be there for the council meeting. And I got a call, and Art said, hey, you want to drive up together? And I said, yeah, no problem. So we drove up together, and we got to talk for like 2.5 hours up there, 2.5 hours back. And it was a great time. I learned a lot from him. As you know, he was president of the Medical Society a number of years ago. And so now, him being in that spot was actually very good. I worked very well with him while he's on the board of trustees at a hospital, and I think that Art did a lot for it. He sends notes to me every day, and he sends it to all of the people in the field. He's got all kinds of things that he sends us so we know where stuff is. And sometimes I get more of my information from Art than I get from anybody else. Over the past couple of years, like we've gone to the city together, stayed with the governor, had meals with the governor, right? We took pictures, so he's got a few pictures with Andrew Cuomo. Nobody wants those pictures. I went to school with him, and he went to and unfortunately, he went to Malloy. You know that, right? Yes. And then I went to Fordham, and he went to Fordham too. He was a couple of years ahead of me. So, Art is well accomplished, and I think Queens is very, very lucky to have him. And he will probably tell you that he's lucky to have Queens. So Thank you very much for letting me talk a long time, but at least you got to eat and you won't have to wait. Okay, all right, thanks.
Our next guest, it is now my honor to introduce Dr. Parag Mehta, immediate past president of the Medical Society of the State of New York, chairman of the Department of Medicine at Long Island Community Hospital. He's a graduate of NHL Medical College in Mehtabad, India. Dr. Mehta did his residency in internal medicine at New York Presbyterian Brooklyn Methodist Hospital in Brooklyn, New York. He is board certified in internal medicine, hospice and palliative care, and integrative and holistic medicine. He is taking courses in health information technology from Cornell and artificial intelligence from MIT. Dr. Mehta has served as governor of the New York American College of Physicians, president of the Medical Society of the County of Queens, and as mentioned, immediate past president of the Medical Society of the State of New York. He received numerous awards for his extraordinary contributions to advocacy, education, quality, research, and policy. He has been included in Castle Connolly's top doctors list for many years and has been recognized as a power player in healthcare by AM New York Politics NY in 2021. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Parag Mehta.
Good evening and thank you. Thank you, Queens County Medical Society, and congratulations to Art. And thank you to your entire family for sharing you with the Medical Society. And personal thank you for being my mentor and being there all the time whenever I needed you. So, Dr. Pipia has mentioned a lot of things about the Medical Society. I'll try to stay on to the today's event, which is the Doctor's Day. So, my personal feeling is that when we became doctors, every action we take every day, what we write prescriptions, make a diagnosis, or suggest a treatment, we make a significant impact on our patient's life. It doesn't matter whether it's an intern, resident, attending, it doesn't matter whether you're internal medicine or a surgeon, your each action makes a significant change on not only the patient but onto their families. When you spend that 5 minutes with patient explaining that your blood pressure is high, you need to bring it down by 10 millimeter of mercury, that is going to give several extra years of life to that patient and their family. Whether you bring down sugar or cholesterol and give one prescription, it's going to make significant change. So we should celebrate, not only today, but every single day at the end of the busy practice, our sleepless night, that we are making a change in somebody's life. Today is a day that we should not only say congratulations to Dr. Fougner, but everyone sitting here, all our colleagues, our mentors, and including our patients that who trusted us with their lives. So I say congratulations to all of you for continue to practice in this adverse environment and still going on. What we do that we bring comfort and hope to our patients. I had a patient who, and not only a patient, but like every single patient, usually we have bond and all of them have my cell number. So this is a patient who was always so respectful to me that he will not listen to anybody else, but if I go and just ask him, no matter how much pain he is, he will cooperate with me. And nurses were always jealous that whenever you come, he'd let you do the dressing or XYZ. So, it makes sense. He was not doing well. I just called her granddaughter and asked her that how is grandpa doing. Her answer was that grandpa has not been eating, not drinking, not talking to anybody. He's practically in his coma. We all are here surrounded to his, surrounding him, and he's going to pass anytime. And I said, I'm sorry. But she said, let me see that he has not spoken to anybody. He may speak to you. And she shook grandpa, Dr. Mehta. And guess what? That he opens his eyes, he takes phone, he talks to me, then he look at his entire family, talks to him, and then he dies. So that kind of respect you get from the patients that nobody else can get it. So at least no matter how much difficult discussion we have, we should be proud of you that our patients believes in whatever we say. And that's the only message I want to say, that today we should be proud of ourselves and say that we will continue to work the way we have been working, with compassion and with the empathy. We are the agent of change, and the only thing I like to say that we should continue to inspire, innovate, and lead with compassion and integrity. For the noble pursuit of the healing, there is no greater privilege and no greater reward than the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of others. So, thank you and good night.
It's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Penny Stern, who is the Chief of Preventative and Lifestyle Medicine at the Katz Institute for Women's Health and Department of Occupational Medicine, Epidemiology and Prevention, Northwell Health, past President, Medical Society of the County of Queens, and member of our Board of Trustees. I have more. No? We all know Dr. Penny Stern. She's here to say some nice things about Art Fougner, about Doctor's Day. Thank you, Dr.
So congratulations, everybody, on this early Doctor's Day celebration, all the physicians in the room, and of course to our honoree, Dr. Art Fougner. What can I say about Dr. Fougner? That he's warm, empathetic, no-nonsense kind of guy with tremendous integrity, who always speaks in a gentle voice with wry good humor that never obscures the importance and acuity of his insights. As you can probably tell, I really like Dr. Fougner, and I hold him in the highest esteem, as do all those who are fortunate enough to know him and work with him. He is, I feel, the heart and soul of the Queens County Medical Society and MSNY. His more than 45 years in organized medicine, surpassed only by his years in medicine itself, have been and continue to be shining examples of service. And like the old E.F. Hutton commercials, when Art Fougner talks, people listen. All you youngsters in the room will have to Google those commercials to see what I'm talking about. Dr. Fougner never shies away from expressing his opinions and always defends them with perfect clarity, honesty, and conviction. He is a physician loyalist. What do I mean by this? He champions physicians and stands up for us, whether locally or in Albany. He reached the pinnacle of the medical society hierarchy by becoming president of MSNY in 2019, but that achievement didn't stop him from continuing to participate in medical society affairs after the conclusion of his term. Oh no. He has remained active in meetings, discussions, enabling us to benefit from the wisdom of his experience. And every time he says something that sounds like he will be retiring, the groans resound from all over the state. For those who don't know, Dr. Fougner is boarded in OBGYN and is the chief of gynecologic ultrasound at Northwell Health. The list of his skills would take up the rest of the evening. Suffice it to say that whether as a clinician or as a physician leader, Dr. Fougner is a master. It is often said that medicine is both an art and a science. Dr. Fougner embodies both, the science of medical practice and the art of advocacy, legislative affairs, and policy. It is an honor and a privilege to know Dr. Fougner and to call him a trusted friend, guide, and role model. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Carlos Zapata, Vice Speaker for the Medical Society of the State of New York. Past President of the Medical Society of the County of Queens, Dr. Zapata currently maintains a faculty appointment at the Department of Emergency Medicine at Northwell Health, also works at 3 different campuses of Long Island Jewish Medical Center. A graduate of NYU, Dr. Zapata also received his medical degree from NYU Grossman School of Medicine. He completed his emergency medicine residency at Hofstra Northwell School of Medicine at LIJ Medical Center. Dr. Zapata, his leadership experience dates back to 2007 when he was co-president of the AMA MSNY Medical Student Chapter at NYU. Since then, he has most recently served as the immediate past speaker of the American Medical Association's Young Physician Section, counselor of the American College of Emergency Physicians, and MSNY Organized Medical Staff Section counselor. Dr. Zapata is also a recipient of the New York ACEP 2017 Young Physician Leadership and Advocacy Award. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Zapata.
Thank you, Charlie. And see, I'm a little under the weather here, so I'll shorten this up if we don't need this. So, the first thought I had when Charlie asked me to go ahead and give a speech for art was, damn it, Charlie, I'm a doctor, not a speechwriter. How could I possibly do this? But I could not pass up the opportunity to honor my friend and mentor, Dr. Art Fougner. Now, I know that Penny just talked about some arts he accomplished in his career. We know he's the chief of gynecological ultrasound at Northwell. He's also been an assistant clinical professor of OBGYN at the Zucker Hofstra School of Medicine. And he's been active in organized medicine since 1979, which is much longer than I've actually even been alive. He's currently a trustee of NISNY and serves as well, a trustee emeritus of the Medical Society of the County of Queens, a past president of NISNY, and a past president here of the Medical Society of the County of Queens. Art's also active in several other organized medical associations, including the American Medical Association where he served as delegate, the International Society for Ultrasound and Obstetrics Gynecology, and the American Institute of Ultrasound and Medicine. I think I got them all, right? And one of the most important accomplishments that I think Art made in his professional career was he was actually instrumental in the development of the New York State Maternal Mortality Review Board through his leadership here in organized medicine. He benefited thousands of patients in our state. But most importantly, Art is a husband, a father, and a friend. I first met Art in 2010 when I moved here to Queens to do my residency at LIJ. And he was one of the most friendly, welcoming individuals that I met, which was a big difference from New York County where I came from. And many of you don't know this, but behind the scenes at NISNY, he is actually always one of the first people to step in and try to solve our differences so we can always get along and move forward together, working together for our patients, our profession. And he's been an excellent mediator also. And personally, a few years ago, when I had my own health problems, he was the one who stepped up to help me get the care that I needed at Northwell. And finally, Art has taught me many more than I have thought I could know about science fiction and Star Trek in the years ago. So I want to thank you for your service and friendship and mentorship, Art. And I could not think of any more deserving person for this award than you.
Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Michael Richter, Chair of our Board of Trustees. Yes, Dr. Richter, past President of the Medical Society of the County of Queens. Dr. Richter is a board-certified internal medicine physician who also maintains board certifications.
Everyone knows me.
Dr. Richter,
I really. First of all, thank you everyone for coming to help us celebrate and to honor Dr. Fougner and his family. I also just want to give a thanks to Ms. Soto and her friend Julie and Mr. Vance Lloyd for your dedication and your volunteering and helping out. It's always nice that Amelia's friends come. So when, I don't know, I've been in the medical, I don't know how many years I've been, it's much less than Art, but I joke around a lot at the meetings, even though you guys that don't come to our monthly meetings probably know that I'm a little bit of a clown. And my humor doesn't always go over, especially when they're trying to do finances. And so, yeah, I horse around, and sometimes it just lays flat. And then what I do is I just apologize. I say, I'm sorry to waste your time. One of these times, Art turns to me in front of everyone and he goes, Michael, if you weren't at these meetings, they would be intolerable. And do you remember that? It was a while ago. And at that moment, I said, "Oh, this guy's my friend. He likes me." So, no, I didn't. I honestly, that was the spark that told me that Art and I have a little camaraderie. And no, I'm glad that happened because over the course of time, oh, you know, I forgot to do the whole Star Trek thing. All right, forget about the Star Trek thing. Art's son is here, Art Jr. And just for your information, the lunacy of Star Trek and Star Wars has been passed down to the next generation. to the point where he made his son play hooky from school to go to different Star Wars and Star Trek movies and events. So it's true. You're true to your word, and you are passing down your medicine to the younger doctors, and Star Wars and Star Trek to the younger generation too. So over the course of time, you know, I became the president, and then this and that, and I'm the trustee. But whenever I had an issue with the medical society, I knew I can always count on Art. Because first of all, if you've noticed about Art, he doesn't give you the answer right away. There's a pause, and sometimes he thinks before he gives you an answer. He thinks, and he's always honest. He's always honest. You know, every society has a little bit of infighting, and this one's aligned with that one, and all the nonsense, which is unnecessary, but it happens. He's always been fair with me, always. And I've always been able to count on his advice. So you've been a mentor to me. You've been a mentor to me, and you're one of the bedrocks of the Queens County Medical Society. And I congratulate you on this night, and Nellie and our junior and everyone. I didn't meet everybody, but congratulations. Really, it's well deserved.
But at this time, I hope you will entertain a few more personal remarks I have about Dr. Fougner. Dr. Fougner has been a personal mentor of mine, as he has been for many, as we've heard tonight. When I first joined the Medical Society of the County of Queens, it was during the same year that Dr. Fougner was serving as president of the Medical Society of the State of New York. Immediately, I understood how special of an opportunity it was for myself and others to learn from one of the leaders in our field, from the comfort of my own County Medical Society monthly meetings. In addition to his accolades, accomplishments, and leaderships, which I will not recount here, Dr. Fougner has set the example for me as not only a leader, but as a physician. Throughout his nearly 50 years in medicine, he has honed the art of being a physician and leader, not through seminars on leadership or advice from CEOs, but because of who he is as a person. He is one of the most kind, welcoming, supportive, and thoughtful persons I've encountered in my time in organized medicine. He is always available to take a call, to talk about anything from leadership style, to legislative priorities and strategies, to medical policy making, personal advice for the healthcare of loved ones, all interspaced lovingly with wise anecdotes from history, and the latest on baseball stats, or perhaps most importantly to him, lessons learned from Star Trek, pardon. To me, he exemplifies what we all strive for in our participation in organized medicine, to be both an effective and respected leader, but also close friend and confidant to many. May we all be lucky enough to enjoy a career as fruitful, long, and meaningful as Dr. Fougner's has been. I invite all of our speakers now to join me in presenting Dr. Fougner with this award for his service to the Queens community and for being an example of a physician leader that we can all strive to be more like. So please, our speakers, if you will join us, and Dr. Fougner, if you will please join us to be presented for this award. A few words from the man himself, the honoree for this evening, Dr. Art Fougner again.
Well, to say thank you would be an understatement. But all of this, it reminds me, I was reading this story in the newspaper about how hazardous selfies are, right? So apparently so many people are dying because they take selfies in rather dangerous locations. So there was one young man who was hiking in the mountains and came to the edge of a hill, and the vista was just beautiful, so he couldn't resist. So he turned his back, and as he's taking his selfie, he lost his balance. and he fell over the cliff, but he managed to grab onto a bush. And now his phone, of course, now was gone. That was hundreds of feet down. And he knew this might be it. So he looks up to the heavens and he starts to pray. God, if there's anybody up there who can help me, I'll do anything. I'll do anything. I'll give this up. I'll give that up. I'll give money to charity. I'll work for the poor. And he hears a voice. And the voice says, son, if you have faith, let go. So he looks down. And again, it's hundreds of feet down. And he starts to shake. And he looks back up and says, is there anybody else up there? and that's this room. That's all you guys. That's the medical society. We're it. We're the anybody else. Doctors are out there working for their patients. And we're the backstop. That's our job, to help them try to create a practice environment that works. You know, we go every year and we talk about this bill, this insurance company, that insurance company. Now it's broadened to this computer hack, that computer hack. But it's us. We're the voice that, whether they know it or not, we're that unseen voice. The other saying I'm fond of is, I'm so old I, fill in the blank. So, for example, and I see my pal Dr. Menzen over there. So I'm so old, I remember when a prior authorization was called a prescription. When I started, I'm so old, I remember that, gee, if you took out 1 out of 5 appendixes and 1 out of 5 were normal, you were doing the right thing. Now, forget it. You get called up in the tissue committee and that Q&A and, you didn't order enough imaging. When I started in OBGYN, the section rate became scandalous. Not by any effort of mine, I assure you. It went from 7% to 12%, and that was considered scandalous. Now we're trying to get it down below 30. So when I started, you were lucky if you found an ectopic pregnancy before it ruptured. Patients would come in, they would kind of look like that sheet over there, okay? And then we got pregnancy tests that are positive before the missed period. We had ultrasound. We now treat ectopic pregnancies with injections. I mean, it's unheard of. Technology is racing. And yet, medicine is an art based on science. No, not art as in art food. It is not an algorithm based on artificial intelligence. There's a knack to this. You don't get that overnight. You don't learn it on Facebook. By the way, that's one of my gripes about these issues of scope and practice. A doctor, when he or she knows that they're in over their heads, they call in a consult. A nurse practitioner calls Facebook. It's crazy. But this is what they want. So get ready, folks. I'm fond of saying, well, I'm almost at the end of the road here. Pretty soon I don't have to worry about that stuff. And then I think, not really, because I'll still be a patient. And again, look at the landscape. So I'll leave you with simply thanks. Thank you to my wife of 50 years. She's the one who deserves the award because she puts up with me. She's the one also when I get a big head on my shoulders, like I did something really impressive, she says, "And how much money did the Medical Society make for you today?" So again, a shout out to all my mentors, okay, who can't be with us. Thank you, Leah McCormick, who was a shining example to us all. Thank you, Ralph Schlossman, whom I miss every day. Thank you to Donald Palmisano, fellow Tulane graduate. By the way, I will be headed for New Orleans in a couple of months for my 50th reunion. And of course, thanks to y'all, sincerely. It's been a pleasure. It will be a continued pleasure. And you have my number. Don't be strangers.